From Wana Brands, welcome to Enhance Your Life. I'm your host, Jonathan Small, and each week I talk to people from all sorts of professions and backgrounds about how cannabis has enhanced their lives and how this healing plant can enrich your life too. Hey everybody, welcome to the Enhance Your Life podcast. I'm your host, John Small. It is so good to have you with us today. Very excited about our guest. Whitney Adrian joins us. And since 2016, Whitney has been working in the cannabis space in a variety of roles. She's been in sales, client relations, investor relations, but we're going to talk to her mainly about her social media presence. She is an influencer in the cannabis space. And what does that mean? And how did she become an influencer? We're going to get all into that. Whitney has a following of over 60,000 people on Instagram. Very impressive. You can find her at sunny.days. And she showcases images of what cannabis consumers can look like. She's sort of contrasting the stoner stereotypes with her active Colorado lifestyle. I'm jealous of your active Colorado lifestyle. Whitney also owns her own creative company. It's called OK Creative, and it caters to cannabis brands. Whitney, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so lovely to be here.
Okay, let's get a little backstory here. How did you first sort of discover cannabis? Tell me a little bit about just like your first experience with cannabis and how that entered your life.
Totally. Okay, so when I was in high school, my brother was the first person who introduced me to cannabis.
Isn't it always is it the older brother?
Yes, he's 2 years older. And I originally, he was getting into all sorts of trouble because of it with my parents. And I grew up thinking, this is a really bad, harmful drug. This is ruining my brother's life and it's making my parents so upset. So I was deathly afraid of it and really, really judged people hardcore who used it. And then actually went on a church outing, a kind of church field trip with my brother and our family friends. Yeah, we ended up just kind of wandering out onto the beach one night, the beaches of Maine, and we smoked underneath the stars. And I was starting to warm up to it because I had more and more friends that were starting to try it. And my family friends that were there at the time made me feel more comfortable trying it. Just having a different set of, I guess the fact that they were two females made me feel a little bit more comfortable. I think I always associated it with a certain type of bad kid that was usually a dude that just didn't care about school and all this stuff. But then I had these two girlfriends who were it's awesome, you should try it. So yeah, we smoked on the beach and I just fell in love from day one. I was so hooked, and I think I didn't really understand fully until I started working in the cannabis industry how much I was using it to just kind of self-medicate and cope with the stresses of family life and divorce and all the struggles of being, I don't know, young adult.
A young adult in this world. So you're from Maine originally?
I'm from Massachusetts originally.
Okay, you're from Massachusetts. And what brought you to Colorado and, getting into the cannabis industry? Because it's one thing to enjoy cannabis, it's another to, want to work in the business.
Totally. I originally moved to Colorado because I had visited a friend out here while I was still in college, and I just absolutely fell in love with the laid back nature of this state. The East Coast, where I'm from, is just, it's so uptight. And
especially Massachusetts, it's all pure. That's where the Puritans started.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where Plymouth Rock is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of judgment there. And I didn't move to Colorado because of cannabis, but it was definitely a factor. I wanted to live, after graduating from college, I wanted to plant my roots somewhere where I could just feel comfortable being myself and living the lifestyle I wanted to live, and especially having access to nature. And I just ended up kind of falling into the cannabis industry after living in Colorado for about a year. I went to an industry event and was doing some networking. actually with an ex of mine who was trying to get this job at a company called Massroots. And they ended up offering me the interview at this networking
How'd
event.
your ex feel about that?
Oh, he's probably still salty about it, but
what are you going to do?
Mind. And yeah, they were really looking to grow the female presence on their team. They were a cannabis and tech startup, and those are two like huge male dominated industries. So they were really looking to diversify. And yeah, they wanted to add another woman to the team. So I got lucky there.
So what'd you do for Massroots?
So that's where I kind of jumped around from a bunch of different roles. So I started in sales, which is actually where I learned about influencer marketing. So we had partnerships with influencers who would basically sell us like a pack of 10 posts, and then we could kind of sell that pack of posts off to our clients in different ways. So it kind of guaranteed that the influencer was going to be getting the work they needed, the money they needed, also guaranteed easy access to being promoted by our clients that we worked with. So that's kind of when I started to be like, this is lucrative. Like these people are making insane amounts of money just for sharing about their experiences with the plant. It was at that time that I started to kind of get pulled into photo shoots and content creation sessions with the media side of the company, because they wanted a female to be showcased in their content. They wanted to show that not just a bunch of dudes sitting around smoking, females can enjoy the plant too. And so I just kind of started creating my own content using the content that we were creating together, and just started my Instagram page, Sunny Days, sort of anonymously. Like I didn't want to make it my name or anything. Like I chose the name Sunny Days to be sort of anonymous. And
tell me why. Is it because you were afraid that it might hurt your kind of work possibilities at other places or that kind of thing? Like the stigma still is there.
Exactly. Yeah. I was really afraid of, I've always been put into the box. Like I think throughout college, mainly, I was really put into like the stoner box. I went to school in North Carolina, and people were pretty judgmental there. I think I was afraid of judgment from those people, from my friends and family back home, just everyone in my life that was anti-cannabis. And I think I just slowly started to become more comfortable over time as I began to meet more people who were like-minded, and just being surrounded by the movement itself. I mean, I was just like, this is not going anywhere. I don't really need to hide anymore, because this is where I want to be. And I'll say it loud and proud.
Yeah. So now you're not as embarrassed by it, or not necessarily you were embarrassed, but don't feel as much concern about having your face be front and center on the site, in the Instagram.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm very proud of it now. I love to have these conversations with people who are anti-cannabis, and try to like kind of slowly piece apart, like, why do you feel that way? Is it from, things that you grew up? And people open up so quickly once they realize how flimsy their stigmas really are.
So how do you think you grew it? Tell me your approach to your Instagram. I mean, there's a lot of pictures of you, and that's obviously a big part of it. What was sort of the secret to, like I've been struggling. I've been like stuck at like 480 people on my Instagram for like 3 years. Now I don't look like you, but at the same time, like what do you think it was that kind of got people, to follow you so much and to care about what you had to say?
That's such a good question. It's not something I often think about, but I think my strategy was to kind of combine my passion for the plant and how beautiful the plant can be in its many forms, and while you're consuming it, like it just the flower in your hand, and all the different forms of cannabis are just so beautiful to me. And I think, I don't know, I think I just tried to capture what I was experiencing. I don't really know.
Well, it was kind of real, right? Like, did you plan it out? Do you plan out your posts, or do you kind of, is it sort of organic for the most part?
it's very organic. I wish I had more of a plan, and it's actually something I'm trying to work on now by like taking a lot of stuff off my plate so that I can recenter a little bit. But yeah, mostly just kind of taking pictures of what I see and what I'm doing. I was hiking a lot back then and showcasing a lot of like the beauty of Colorado. So I think combining cannabis with your other interests is really important because it shows your audience that you're a real person. Obviously, I don't just sit around and smoke weed all day.
Yeah. You have an
I
active
wish I
lifestyle.
could sometimes. Yeah. But I think it's really important to showcase and part of, combating the stigma is like, hey, I'm on a hike right now and I'm consuming weed. Like you can do both. Hey, I'm at work right now, but there's also a vape pen next to my computer because it makes me more creative and more productive when I'm doing XYZ. And just being able to showcase those little moments of like, this is my own experience basically, and not really trying to convince anyone or push anything on anyone, just have it feel like they're kind of there, I guess, is my approach. And I think
It's
I
obviously
think they're,
working. I mean, I guess it's real. I mean, I hate the word authentic because it's overused in the internet, but it definitely is like, I guess your Instagram feed is who you are. And I guess if people resonate with that and people like you, and so they want to follow you and kind of be a part of your world, you're like letting them into your world.
yeah.
At what point did your Instagram get to such a size where you're like, people started actually like brands and stuff started reaching out to you to say like, hey, can you help us? Like, at what point did you realize you could actually monetize this thing? I'm assuming you monetize it a little bit.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It has become a full-time job. And it's a lot more work than it probably seems. But I would say I kind of got into the monetization aspect more so on the like modeling side of things and started getting paid for my time and face, I guess, there, which I mean, I charged like, I don't even know, probably like $15 an hour for photos that are like still being used to this
And you're
day,
like,
like
why'd I
4
do
years
that?
later. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm always trying to hype up my friends who do the same thing. Like, do not let these brands take advantage of you. Like they're probably going to use these images for a really long time. They have the money, they're profiting off of your likeness. Like just you can ask for what you deserve there. So that was a long learning process for me, and I'm still kind of learning how to navigate everything. And I think it's really cool to look into other industries and how their influencer marketing aspect of their industry works and applying that to cannabis because it's so starkly different what brands are willing to pay creators or people that represent their brands. It's just it's wild to me, and I think
And you mean in other industries, like how much people are willing to pay?
yeah, yeah.
Can you, I mean, I don't want to get too personal, but can you give us like a ballpark figure of like what people will pay an influencer to do like let's say they just wanted you to put their brand in their Instagram post. I mean, is there a range that people will pay for that?
Yeah, there's a huge range, and I think that's the beauty of being able to work with different size accounts, like influencers, which I believe are like 10,000 and below. They get the highest engagement, and they often charge a lot less for their posts because their following is less. They might not be doing it as like a full-time career yet, so it's kind of a side hustle, and you can negotiate a little bit more with them because they want to try the product, they want to create with it. And that's honestly why I got into this in the first place. I was like, I just want to try as many products as I possibly can so that I can become an expert on the industry and on the market and what's out there. And then it kind of slowly transformed to like, okay, there's a real demand here. I need to start valuing my time if people are going to be at like if I'm going to be putting so much into this. So yeah, I think it probably depends, but I'd say, I mean, some brands will just do a product trade, which sometimes I'm cool with that, depending on the product. If it's something I need and want to buy
Yeah, they'll just give
and
it to
just
you.
don't want to buy it,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But I don't know. It really depends on the project and the
Is it
campaign.
like double figure? Is it like 500 to 20,000, or is it like three? Is it like five figures, or are we talking about like a few thousand? Or I'm just curious. I mean, I don't know.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. I usually do anywhere from like 300 to like $1,000 based on what the post is. And like other industries, it would be like $5,000 or
I
something.
know.
Like it's just crazy how much more
I
you can
know.
get away with. Yeah, as a mainstream brand.
Right. I get it. Do you ever get worried that you're going to get like flat? I know that people get shadow banned or they get flagged and their accounts get taken down. Do you worry about that for yourself?
Every single day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because you build your presence and your reputation on somebody else's platform, and they have so much power, over like bringing you down. And so I can understand how that would be very worrisome to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely scary. A lot of people this past week actually have gotten their accounts taken down, and a couple were given back, but one guy that I know still hasn't gotten his back, and he has like almost 70,000 followers. And he's just been doing this for years and years, and just all of his work is gone. And I can't imagine just like losing the memories that are on the account, like that would be the most important thing for me. But also, yeah, it's my livelihood, and it's extremely worrisome that it could just be deleted for no reason, no explanation, anytime. And there's no one at Instagram or Facebook that is willing to talk about these things. Like if you ask, they just say like it's illegal. So then you don't want to ask, and you don't want to like try to work with them on it, because then you're kind of like bringing yourself into their attention. But
right, it's like
yeah.
you can't win, because if you let them know about you, then they're gonna be like, wait a minute, who are you? You do. So how are you careful? Are there things that you just won't do on your Instagram?
Definitely no mention of like pricing or anything like that. Never saying like go buy. And that's just like, that's more of just a personal preference. Like if someone tells me to go buy something, I'm not going to do it. And that's just I think our generation just really, really does not like to be told what to buy. And that's why influencer marketing is so like impactful, because you're showing people the applications for different products in your life, rather than just being like a salesperson.
And I think Instagram in general doesn't allow those. That's like across the board, cannabis or not. Like if you're promoting a product, I don't know. I don't actually know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Like I don't know if they don't like that anyway, right?
I was actually just talking to a friend of mine who got out of the cannabis industry and is working for like a car parts company. And she was like, it's so liberating. I can just talk. I can like say buy, and sale, and like name all the prices. And
they don't
like, I don't have to worry about anything.
Oh, so it's more about cannabis specifically. So you don't, okay. So that's one thing, is you don't tell people go buy this brand, and this is how much it costs, right? How about consuming it? Do you consume on your Instagram? Are you cool with that? I mean, it's legal. You're not doing anything illegal, but because it's federally illegal, it's like a whole other thing.
Yes, I consume very much on my page. I feel like the page or the content I put out would just be a little bit less exciting if it was just like me holding this.
Right.
Now I'm holding this. Now this thing is right next to me. Like I think it just like you can really understand the product and the experience a little bit more when you can see it in use. So I don't think that that's it, because the guy that got taken down that I mentioned, his Instagram is jweeds, and he's a great content creator if you guys want to go follow him.
He's back up.
No, that's his back. He has like a backup page. Okay. So what all like cannabis influencers have to do is create a backup page, because you just never know. So you can go follow his backup page until his main page gets reinstated, hopefully. Yeah, he doesn't consume on his at all. So I don't know.
There's no rhyme or reason why they decided to. It's crazy. What is the post that's done the absolute best for you? I mean, is there one that was just like boom, that just blew up?
That's such a good question.
This is why they pay me the big bucks.
Yeah. So The main one is it's a cool the top one is a photo of me smoking where I did an effect with the video where it kind of like boomerangs, but not like a real boomerang. It's like a trippy video effect,
Yeah.
basically. So I
Okay.
think that probably was the main reason that one got a lot of engagement. The next one down from that is just me, my face next to a giant like a cola from a giant plant on an outdoor farm here in Colorado. That's my absolute favorite. It's called Pot Zero, and they have like a fully sustainable zero carbon footprint farm. And I talked a little bit about that in the post. And I think people are I want my audience to be really engaged and just care about sustainability in the cannabis space, as well as, all the other things that are connected to cannabis that trickle out, like social justice and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think talking about stuff like that gets good reception generally, because people are trying to get more involved and educate themselves more on those types of topics that are less like, this is the weed I'm smoking today. And it's like, no, this is why you need to be mindful about when you're smoking this weed, because it has XYZ implications and consequences and whatnot.
How do you said it's a lot of work, like it's a full-time job being, having 60,000 Instagram followers and being an active, but a lot of time, but you said you don't really plan a lot of the shoots and it's kind of more organic. So tell me where the work comes in. Is the work kind of like figuring out how to promote the posts, or tell me a little bit about like what's time consuming? I'm curious about that.
Mm. So I would say, I think the hardest thing for me is balancing the fact that it is a job and something that I have to stay on top of creating posts for clients, but it's also it comes from my creativity and like the organic nature of how I create makes it difficult to just be like, okay, today is Monday, I need to create this post, when it's like, I'm not feeling creative today,
Yeah.
or I don't have any inspiration for this post today. And so I think it just gets hard to manage expectations of the clients and the reality of like, this isn't like coming to me naturally. So like I have to force this a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think like over time, anything that becomes a job and something that you get paid for, it becomes a little bit like less, like I'm just not always super inspired because
Yeah. I
I'm
hear
like
you.
running a business now and doing all these other things. Whereas before, when it was just a side hustle, ideas came to me so much more frequently, and I would just take a picture of something I saw that I liked, and there wasn't a whole thought process behind it. And oh, is the brand going to like this? And oh, this doesn't properly show like the logo, or their packaging is a little wrinkled there. Like I need to retake it. And yeah, I think just making the content something that I can feel proud of and represent myself authentically. I hate
Yeah.
that word too. But
I
also please the brand.
I get it. So how many posts do you do a day?
Oh man, I don't really have much consistency there, to be honest. I think that's a good way to actually grow your account if you are looking for tips
Tips,
on
yeah.
that. Just being more
Spontaneous.
consistent.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, the opposite. So be more consistent is a good
Yeah.
way to, like, people know, like around 2 o'clock every day she's gonna
Right.
update her Insta. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many of your posts are sponsored as opposed to any just like you doing your thing at this point?
That it kind of depends based on the month, and like April is generally crazy. I tried to manage my posts a little bit, or just be a little bit less like, who wants it? Back in like December for the holidays, I was just like, I was getting so many inquiries about doing work, and it was a great month for me for sure. But I looked back at my page and I was like, this is not what I want for my audience. Like they're just getting spammed at this point. I don't want them to just be constantly like taking in like, oh, this is a product you should try. Oh, this is a product you could try. Like I really have been reflecting on that recently and trying to get back to where I kind of started and making this content like for the community and not just to make money.
Because people, like you said, people will sniff that out and be like, oh, yeah, she's just a sellout, whatever, you know?
Yeah. And I don't align with like the just like buy this, buy this. Like I'm a super picky consumer when it comes to buying things. And I will not spend my money on something if I don't like fully understand it or know that it's going to add value to my life. So I would never want to put that on my audience to just like feel like they have to kind of like you guys are smart adults. You can make those decisions for yourself. I'm just here to tell you about the products and let you decide for yourself if you want to try it.
So do you test out the products before you go on Insta to promote them? Do you make sure that you like them?
Yes, I've had some really bad experiences agreeing to promote products that ended up having like 0 CBD in them just complete scams. And it feels horrible as a creator and like someone who feels like they have a community who listens to them and trusts them to work with someone like that. And I hope to God that no one ended up buying any of that. I ended up taking everything down. And after I found out that this CBD brand there was no advertising for the amount of milligrams of CBD anywhere on the product. So I reached out to them and they ended up giving me all sorts of excuses on why they couldn't share that information with me. And then I finally got it out of them and they said that there were 15 micrograms of CBD per pump of this lotion. And I was like, what? That doesn't, I've never heard of anything like that. And they tried to give me this whole explanation. So I kind of got duped. And yeah, I'm so much more careful these days because of that to test everything before promoting it or signing contracts.
Do your followers immediately let you know when something's not like, oh, you know, Whitney, this stuff is bad or whatever? Is that how you figured out the thing with the CBD?
No, I ended up figuring that out because a follower just asked like, oh, like how much CBD is in this? Yeah.
And then you're like,
oh, I don't know.
Right. That's good. Yeah. You did your own research. Really curious, how much % of work do you go out and find brands to sponsor, and how much are they coming to you? Like, is it all them coming to you at this point?
Yeah, actually, that is the one beauty of the cannabis space. Doesn't have that many creators in it yet that like have kind of established themselves. So luckily there's just not much competition, I suppose. Or these brands just have a lot of money to spend and can reach out. But yeah, I've been very lucky, knock on wood, to just have them come in and not have to do much outbound at all.
Where do you see all this going in your career? Like, where do you have like a long-term plan here? Or are you just enjoying taking the ride and doing great? And I mean, you kind of have a dream job in many people's worlds, right? You get to, I mean, it always looks better from the outside than it's hard work, but it, you know, in some ways it's a dream job, right? You get to like try lots of cannabis products. You have a really big following on Instagram. People want to work with you. But where do you sort of see it all going, hopefully? Like, what's your long-term plan here? I sound like your dad, by the way. I'm sorry.
That's
probably old enough to be your dad. But anyway, go on.
This is actually something I've been thinking a lot about lately, and I've been investing in some educational courses about growing my marketing side of the business, where I help brands create a content strategy, come up with the content, you know, produce it all, and then execute it. And I think I kind of want to lean more into that and honestly take a step back from the promotional side of things. It's a great way to make money, and there's so much opportunity that I'm very grateful to have. But again, it kind of took like, I don't know, I had such a good time, and it was such an outlet for creativity before, and now it's, you know, it's a job.
It's a job. Yeah.
It's lost its luster a little bit, and I would love to just get back to creating for myself and for my community in a more intentional way that I'm not always thinking about like, oh, like what brand post do I need to do right now? So I think I want to move more towards helping cannabis brands grow their own presence on social media and build their own communities.
Yeah.
And can use my platform along the way to help for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there, and I think a lot of cannabis brands are looking into there's a lot of restrictions on cannabis brands, so they need people like you to explain to them like how do they get the word out there about their product. If people want to find out more about you, first of all, your Instagram is @sunny.daze, DAZE. And how else would they find out more about you, Whitney? Is that the best way?
You can shoot me a DM there if you want. You can email me at whitney@okokcreative.com. You can also check out my business Instagram page. It's just OK Creative. And yeah, shoot me an email, DM me. I would love to chat more.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this podcast.
Thank you. This was so fun.
Enhance Your Life is brought to you by Wana, the #1 infused product in the U.S. Wana's entire process is designed to deliver the same great experience time after time. They have spent years fine-tuning their recipes so that their products are delicious, consistent, and potent. For more information, check out WanaWellness.com. That's Wana, WANA, wellness.com.